Hi, how are you doing? My name is Ivonne Roberts, and I am trying something new. I am currently a software engineer. I work for a company called Edelman Financial Engines, where I am a principal software engineer, a senior software architect. A lot of names basically say I make sure things come out in a well architected manner. Currently, I am working around authentication and authorization. In a couple past lives, I've worked with cloud, specifically AWS, and getting products from 0 to 60 into the cloud in a serverless fashion. I enjoy software engineering. I think that it is perfect for my personality. I am a very much so an introvert. I am very happy staying home. Software engineering is something that lets me do exactly that at home, um, as long as I have good internet, which I think I have decent internet. I can do all of that. Um, so yeah, software engineering is really cool. I think there's a lot of people there that maybe get a little intimidated by it, and I know personally when I went to school, I thought that that was like not something I would like to do for a living. That is my son in the background. See if that comes out in the recording. Um, Anyways, when I went to college, or actually, I should step back even sooner than that. In high school, I was at a boarding school. I realized that my knees weren't like, any other high schooler's knees, and ended up having to do a whole bunch of surgeries and finishing out high school at home. And so I was bored out of my mind, one. Two, I missed my friends a lot. And so I made a web page. This was back in the 90s when web pages were just being born. It was using JavaScript, which was also just being born. And there were these nifty little scrolling macros, is what it was called back then, I guess. I don't know if it really is a macro or what. But anyways, these nifty little animations you could do that would scroll text across the screen. And so I did that in high school, and I would make a little web page where I could communicate with my friends back at school, and it was a lot of fun. But when I went to college, after all that drama, I got intimidated. I was like, I can't do the computer programming thing. I think that's just too much. I love computers. I think they're really cool. Maybe I want to like paint. And so I did a lot of painting, and I did what today is probably called a Bachelor's of Fine Arts. Back then, it was a Bachelor's of Technology in Digital Multimedia. And so I had a lot of fun doing that. My first job out of college, I was literally paid a 5-figure salary to color. I mean, how many people can say that and just literally sit there and color and make money? But the reality is that I was bored, and coloring is fun for the first couple months, maybe even close to a year. But I really did miss like the control that you would have. When you're a computer programmer, you could make a website function exactly like this and do exactly XYZ LMNOP. And so at the one company I was right out of college where I was coloring, they had a website, and it like was never updated and needed changes here and there. And I was like, let me do it. I know I can do it. So I did that, and I was able to seamlessly make changes and basically be a front end web master, I think is what it was called back then. I don't know. I'm dating myself. But I really enjoyed making those changes. And I got another job after that. That was more proper graphic designing job. I was making thumbnails for websites. Very not fun. I remember after a couple months into the job, it was a very specific product, and I would have to make thumbnails that were like 100 pixels by 40 pixels or something like that. And then I would have to make that same image, and it had to be like 200 pixels by 400 pixels. And then there had to be another one that was like 1,000 pixels by whatever. I'm making up the numbers because I really don't remember, because I kind of like try to black out that part of my life. And it was just completely mind numbing to make all these thumbnails. So again, same thing. I started poking around on the website of that company and asking to like, oh, can I make changes here? And can I do this? And can I do elemental P? And they let me because, it's cheaper to have a graphic designer make those changes. So I was allowed to do a lot of things that I probably in a bigger company, I wouldn't have been allowed to do. And I started getting back into programming, and I started there. Back then it was a Java application, and I would go in and make changes that would organize data, get stuff from the database, and display it on a page like XYZ and elemental P. And at that point, I mean, I was really like a full stack developer, you could argue, like really full stack, because by the way, I was still making those thumbnails. So, doing back end development, tweaking, massaging, etc., business logic, to then take that into your controller and have these really nice RESTful APIs to return data. And then also doing the front end, making these API calls, or back then I think it was JSP. I think, I don't remember. But in those pages, getting that data and then laying it out, and then doing the CSS and designing it out, and then whipping out Photoshop and making the thumbnails in the right sizes that I wanted them to show up on the page. So I was like a full stack. and that was a lot of fun, and I liked it, and I realized I wanted to get deeper into the more back end side of things. I really enjoyed that, and realized I didn't have the paper to prove that I could do it to any other company. And so I decided to go to school and get paper to prove that I could do computer programming. And so I went and I did a master's in computer science. A lot of math, maybe not as much programming as I had expected. But I really already had experience in that side of things. But it was a lot of math. I did a focus on security and trying to, tighten up your applications and making sure that, a pen tester can't come in and get into your product and get into your database and steal a bunch of cool stuff, bad stuff. And I really enjoyed my degree. I did it at NYU. It was a lot of fun. They had a satellite campus up in New York, so I didn't have to quite go all the way down to Brooklyn. And so I finished that, and then I started looking for work, interviewing a lot of interviews. I went to Silicon Valley, and I was like, I'm going to get that job. I'm here in computer science Mecca. It's going to happen. And it took a while to happen because yes, I had some experience, and yes, I had the degree and paper, but I was competing against folks that had been doing this for many, many years, who didn't, get distracted like I did. And I was really green. I mean, some of the interview questions, how I answered them, I look back today and I'm like, what was I thinking? So yeah. I did get a job in Silicon Valley. I have had a lot of fun. I'm still at that company. It's a fintech company, and I've definitely grown with them significantly in computer science and in my role. And I went from being a front end to moving into more back end work, and to eventually becoming a software architect, where I focused on their journey to the cloud, and taking existing monolithic code bases and ripping it apart and moving that into the cloud. And I've had a lot of fun doing that. I really love what cloud can do for folks and for companies and startups and the likes. You definitely get to cut a lot of costs compared to your traditional on-prem companies. And I think it's pretty liberating for somebody who's a software engineer who doesn't really like to get into the nuts and bolts of memory and processors and the more bare metal tweaks and levers. Cloud computing, and especially serverless computing, really facilitates that. And so I have grown. I have learned a lot, and I would love, 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 love to see more people like me in roles like computer programming and more of these STEM related uh, activities. So why am I doing this? So this video is to inspire those that may be afraid to do this, and it's also to give you something to do, something to learn. I want to take with this channel the opportunity to take a bunch of different projects, and like I mentioned before, I was a full stack software engineer. I want to take that approach to some projects so that you can kind of see, from idea to implementation to design to finished product, and maybe there's something in that whole process that it opens your eyes and piques your interest, and maybe you can make a career out of it. So I talked a lot. I don't know how this recording will turn out because this is my first one. Also, while I've been talking, my computer fan has been going crazy. And as you probably heard, my child's in the background. Yeah, we'll see. But if you're interested and if you like this, definitely subscribe and all the other good stuff that we're supposed to say at the end of a fantabulous video to reel you in and come back for more. Thank you.